For June the 1st, 2018, we talk about God of War, Dennis's new PSVR, and we ask you what you think will be different about games in 10 years. Welcome to Level 243. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Meisman.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Back with a regular episode after a short while. Thank you.
Been a while.
Yeah. I'm not going to take that bait. No, it has been a little bit, mostly for myself, due to personal family things. So I want to thank you guys here on the call for your patience with that, and thank the listeners for understanding.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Life comes up.
Yes, it does. So, very happy to be back, though. I have mostly just been trying to catch up for my time away, so my what I've been doing is not going to be very interesting. Ben, you had a trip.
I did. I went out of town and visited some of my old friends in Vegas, some of my old coworkers. And we just had a weekend where we played a lot of video games and board games and just hung out and ate awesome food and drank beer. So it was lovely.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because whenever I tell people I'm going to Vegas for the weekend, there's always a weird assumption of what I'm doing, which is the complete opposite of what I'm doing. So,
right.
Do these people know you?
Yeah.
I feel like the stereotypical Vegas thing is not
Your
Hey, David, I'm not going to cut this off because it kind of sounds like you're being revealed to be an AI, and it's very funny. I think that you're unplugging and replugging your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 sec.
Yeah.
How's this, A-back?
No.
Calibrate.
It's the worst nervous habit to have as a podcaster.
Yeah.
any better?
Yes.
Hey.
Okay.
Whatever you did, don't undo it.
Okay. Right.
Sit perfectly still for the rest of the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
She'll be a challenge.
No, that's cool. Dennis, how about you? What have you been up to in the time away?
I'm going to tell you in a second because Jen is getting ice out of the fridge right now. So she was so sweet. She literally asked me, and I literally just said, "Go ahead, I'm on mute." And then you threw to me. So
I like how
dangerous.
each one of us has our own podcast hurdle.
I
Mine
know.
is the car that just passed by.
we get rusty after not being in the regular groove.
Yeah, it's
How do we
not like we've been
podcast
doing
again?
this for 9
Yeah.
years.
I'm just glad I no longer have to worry about screaming crazy people.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, that's the least of your worries.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to wait for the high-pitched beeping to go away. We can figure out what that is, and then I will
Wait,
answer.
does your
Okay.
ice maker have some sort of alarm?
Nope, never mind. The Instant Pot is going off.
No, this is good. I'm keeping all this in. This is great. It's almost like we're doing Foley.
We're going to set a record for the longest episode with our first one back.
No, I just got an Instant Pot, actually. I love that thing.
Oh yeah, they're
What is
fantastic.
an Instant Pot?
It's like it is like a standalone pressure cooker thing that doesn't use the stove, but it's also like a slow cooker. I use it a lot to make rice. I've been boiling eggs in it, or steaming eggs rather.
Nice.
It's
Yeah,
it's like a
I've been
trendy.
trying to get into baking. Has kind of been my thing.
Yeah. So it's like a trendy countertop appliance thing.
It is.
Yeah.
So at this point, I've forgotten what the specific lead-in was.
Oh, so Ben had just
assuming
talked.
that you are, if you're really gonna keep all this in, then you can just ask me again. Otherwise,
Yeah, I'll ask you again. Don't worry. We just talked to Ben about his travel, and I threw to you asking what you had done over the break.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I did Murph for Memorial Day, which is a very fun workout with a lot of movement in it. I don't know how specific I should get in a podcast setting. Anyway, I did Murph. For anyone who knows what that is, you know what that is. And it was a good time. And then went to a pool party and promptly undid all the good work I had done previously.
Right.
But it was a blast.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my travel comes next week. I'm in Minneapolis. Tuesday through Thursday.
The Twin City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, David? What you been up to?
Not too much. I think I spoke last time. I've been doing a ton of Tai Chi stuff. Other than that, just trying to get spring cleaning up and running, which is always craziness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always end up running out of the thing that I run up against is just the amount of output of trash that I can put out in a given week. Just because I only have one cart for garbage and one cart for recyclables, and it has become almost like a little management sim trying to get all the cardboard out of my house. Because
cardboard is the worst.
Yeah, well, like if I dropped all of my cardboard into the bins when they were empty, no other stuff could go in. You know, like I have like bottles and stuff.
Do you break it down?
Oh yeah. No, what am I, an animal?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, so what I have is a big cardboard box full of broken down cardboard boxes next to my front door, and every trash day, I go out, I take a look at the
recycling bin.
Yeah. Basically, I top it off. I top it off when it's out by the curb, and there is no expectation that my downstairs neighbor will have to empty his magazine rack or something into it.
So you've resorted to cardboard box cannibalism. That's brutal.
A little bit, yeah. So I am in the process of spring cleaning as well. It is very fun, the things that you dredge up when you do that.
You guys, we were saying this before. You guys have a month left, so
yes, yeah. Oh, I mean 3 weeks. 3 weeks of actual summer, and then let the sloth and clutter creep in.
Then it'll be hibernation time.
Yep. So that sounds like a bunch of stuff we have been doing, and I think that is some banter that has been achieved. I'm excited to get into the usual stuff. I'm excited to get back to it, the things like the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind, and we can get started with the brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. I'm going to start with one that is real quick. That way we can move on to the other things. We are in that kind of weird period right in front of an E3 where most of the game news is pulled out. Like the tide is rolling out and there are no waves. Like, oh, where'd the water go?
Most of the news is stuff that isn't going to be making E3.
Yes, yeah. Or you get like weird little oddballs, like things from Japanese publishers or whatever that doesn't necessarily go around our schedule. And that's what I brought here for us. There was a panel at MomoCon. I'm not aware of what MomoCon is. What's that?
Yeah, that's I have some friends that go to that. I have no idea where it is.
Oh, okay. So a simple Google search for me would ease that. But Suda51 did a panel there, and it was live streamed. The thing is, though, Atlanta. Okay. Oh wow. And the big announcement, basically what I'm beating around here, is another classic Kole, a game will exist story. That's right. Suda51 announced that Killer 7 is coming to Steam this winter or fall. No new content, but will be brought up to modern standards, in quotes. For me, like, this is a huge deal because, like, Killer 7 is one of the few Suda games that isn't really available on a modern system. Like, even No More Heroes has been updated for different things, but like Killer 7, if you really want to play that, you have to load up your GameCube or, God forbid, your PS2, just because that version performs kind of strangely to fuck with it. But here, no, it'll just be on Steam and you can play it. So I'm super happy. Killer 7 it's not a great game, but it is okay, let's see here. It's not a great game with a lowercase g, but it's a great game with an uppercase G. I think it's important.
Huh.
And yeah, this is very cool indeed. Have any of you all played Killer 7?
I have not.
Nope.
Yeah, same. I have not so far.
Yeah.
So what a great excuse to.
Yeah. It's
yeah, that's definitely like I don't think I've ever played a Suda number games, so that's something I've been a long time intending to. So this might be my on ramp.
Yeah, I would say Killer 7 is the one of his games are not for everybody. Not even all of his games are for me. as somebody who professes to enjoy the stuff that he does, I think Killer 7 is the one that people ought to play if they're going to. I think it is his magnum opus.
Yeah, it seems like, unfortunately, to a certain degree, he kind of made Killer 7 and then has like tried to make Killer 7 over and over again since then.
That could be argued. Yeah,
We tried to attain the success of Killer 7.
Yeah, or applied the same ethos of, you know, just hoping that style would carry everything. Yeah. Killer 7 is a very stylish game. There's a core of something very interesting and cool there that rises above the style, I think. Yeah. So super jazzed about that. Super jazzed to not have to plug in my GameCube, plug in my Wii if I ever want to play it again. So thumbs up.
Nice.
Yeah. Let us see here. Dennis, you have a story about Battlefield 5 that I would like to hear. And we're keeping that loud thump in. So
yeah.
No second takes this week.
Living with people 101. It's an adventure. So no, it's the story is one that you've heard before, which is a prominent video game announces that they will have more customization to their characters. Specifically, that female characters will be playable, and this is Battlefield 5 specifically this time around. And the dregs of the internet rise up to yell about, SJWs and historical accuracy and all that stuff. And I just thought that the GM at DICE had a particularly good response to the people complaining about realism, which is to post a video of I'm guessing this was Battlefield 1. Of someone riding a horse with two other people standing on a horse, one firing a giant minigun and the other firing a flamethrower.
Yeah, no, women wouldn't have fought for the Allied forces back in Zelda times.
Yeah, exactly. So it is, like I said, it's a story we've all heard before, but I particularly appreciate the response and just the level of just being able to laugh at how silly it is to complain about. Realism on a very select, breadth of topics that you care about,
right?
And to just gloss over it everywhere else.
And it looks like they got to have a hashtag everyone's battlefield.
I don't know how I feel about that. It was a personal tweet from him, but it is ostensibly an ad for the game. So
that's the shitty part is that, like, okay, cool, you did it, you did and have done a good thing. By attaching a hashtag to it yourself, it ends up becoming marketing. At which point, no,
yeah,
like
I mean, go ahead.
No, don't worry.
Just say when the corporations start pandering to I hesitate to even call it a movement to basic decency, right? Mm-hmm. That tells you that it's getting into the cultural ethos pretty well.
Right.
I guess it is a bit gross. I'm not going to complain too much about it because it means that things are headed in the right direction.
Right. It's just it is a weird little like knock-on side effect for it. And at a certain point, I might stop handing out attaboys to big companies for doing the right thing. Kind of seems, it kind of seems like, okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for not being shitty.
I'll tell you, here's what I'll do. I will give you an attaboy if you respond in a particularly funny or amusing way.
Yeah.
And this makes that cut.
Yeah. Still not going to play Battlefield 5 though. Just not my kind of game. I can just look over in that direction and say, yeah, okay.
I remember being terrible.
That's an EA game, right?
Yes. So they were already working they were already fighting an uphill battle on public relations before this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you can play Battlefield 5. That is sometimes hit or miss with them.
Oh,
never know.
You never know. Yeah. So that's cool. Good for them. Good. Good for them for rising to that particular thing.
How many good for thems are worth a single attaboy?
I don't know. I don't want to set up an economy for it. Ben, what is this going on with Solo?
I just have like a bitter news story because like I'm jumping off the Star Wars train, and so this is very like just vindictive for me. So it's very petty. So, no, Solo got released this last weekend, and the only thing I want to bring up is they were expecting it. It was number one at the box office, but it was like it did half as well as they thought it would globally. In America, they were estimating it to be around 130 to 150 million dollars, and it made 83 for the 4-day weekend. So that's about it. So, and Rotten Tomatoes score, even though that doesn't really mean anything, was the lowest one of all the Star Wars movies. So
yeah,
even
worse than
like
the Phantom
original
Menace
trilogy.
Yeah, prequels are
To be
great,
fair,
guys.
the Phantom Menace at least had Darth Maul.
for all of the charisma that he brought to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, his grunts
Most
were superbly
charismatic character in the new trilogy has no lines.
He does have some lines.
Yeah.
Finally, the sequel will be revealed. Finally, it is our time, or something like that.
Yeah. Voiced by Peter Serafinowicz. Yeah.
Oh, really? It's not
Yeah.
Ray Park? They dubbed it?
Yeah. It
wow.
was dubbed. So I believe that's correct. I may be wrong. I went through a real just enjoying the work of Peter Serafinowicz kind of phase. So
Everybody does.
Well, at
man.
this point, so it cost $300 million to make. It's taken in $103 million on its opening weekend. So they got a ways to go just to make their money back.
Yeah, I mean, like the long tail on a Star Wars thing will probably carry it through. Ben, I forget the last time we spoke about Star Wars. I don't believe I had seen 2 yet. Were you down enough on that to be like, in combination with this, I'm out? Or
You talking about Last Jedi?
yeah, Last Jedi. There we go.
2 = 8.
Yes.
Yeah, like Rogue One was where I'm like, I don't like where this is going, and
Yeah.
then Last Jedi I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I could entertain arguments for Last Jedi being good, maybe, but it was not the Star Wars film I wanted to see, I guess. So,
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna see. Like, I want to see and like Solo because I like Donald Glover, the guy they got playing Lando.
Lando.
Yeah, I feel like that was my take on the movie. Was like, can we have a movie with just like him?
Yeah, can we just
So
have?
I
Can we have?
guarantee you it's in the works.
Oh yeah, I want to see Lando's story. Yeah. Oh well, they're gonna make enough money to cover the cost, and then this will just be, just silently shuffled back. And after they do two more of these kind of bad off-year movies, I've never seen Rogue One. I'm just taking your word for it, Ben.
Rogue One is amazing.
Well, the Han Solo actor, I think, let slip in an interview that he was like signed for a 3-movie deal. So there's more coming.
Yeah.
For the one person on the planet who thought this might be it.
Yeah.
There's more coming, and specifically, there's more young Han Solo coming.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's called Solo. I thought there would only be a single film.
Yeah, just him. It'd be like Moon.
Which I was disappointed. Apparently, that director's like every movie after that he made was horrible.
Wait, Moon? Oh, yeah, it's Rob Duggan, David Bowie's son.
Yep. Oh well.
That was one of my favorite things of when I did the internship at NASA was doing a pre-screening of that.
Oh, sweet.
Really fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's do your story, David. Although I don't have an awful lot to say about it. Go ahead and tee us up.
Yeah. So I guess YouTube / Twitch personality TotalBiscuit, aka the Cynical Brit, aka John Bain, had passed away. I believe this past week. Was 33 years old. Had been battling cancer for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, that's for the most part kind of the story. Just I don't know. Commentary I really enjoyed a lot, and it's I don't know, too bad to see him go. Cancer kind of sucks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't particularly enjoy him or a lot of the stuff that he kind of was outspoken in favor of, but 33 is incredibly young. You shouldn't have to go through that no matter what you say about video games on the internet or how you comport yourself. So yeah, that's no good.
I had not heard of him before, but then I saw that he was a Twitch emote, and I recognized that. So I felt that was a weird state that we've come to.
Yeah.
In the future, the previewing the multiplayer in 2028, the single determiner of your value in life is whether or not you were able to become a Twitch emote.
Right.
Yeah. How many people have access to your Twitch emote?
Well, sure, they carved their faces onto that mountain, but did they have Twitch emotes?
But did their Twitch emote become an inscrutable meme?
Yeah, well, that's everything about Twitch is inscrutable.
Oh, geez.
At least the comment section.
Yep.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I was feeling like a futurist tonight. So, project yourself forward to the year 2028 and just reminisce on how far video games have come. What's one of the biggest changes that have happened to video games, and what's one way that they have stayed completely the same?
Okay, and I'll get us started here with Greg, who says, biggest change, VR gaming has taken over. By 2028, it should be stable and good enough to allow for much better VR experiences than what we have currently. Stayed the same. Solo gaming is not going away, no matter what the pundits say. People don't always want to play online or against someone, they just want the solo gaming experience.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those
All
fairly
solid
safe bets.
predictions.
Yeah. Yep. I think there were even people like 10 years ago who thought by 2018 everything would be online co-op. In a lot of ways it is. There are lots of story-based online co-op things. A way out.
Mm-hmm. Well, no matter what, you go on the forums and you read and discuss the game with people. So
yeah.
So there.
That's right.
It's not solo play unless you never talk to anyone about the game.
It is a game that you enjoy under a sheet, like you're eating an ortolan bunting. Yeah.
There's a laser shoot Larry joke in there somewhere.
David, what does Sam say?
Sam says Prime Minister Donkey Kong.
See, I was skeptical. He swept in on a wave of populism, saying bananas for all. But he has some very fair and even-handed policies, and dare I say, help deal with the menace of King K. Rool. So.
I know. What the question is, what party do you think he would be in?
The Yellow Party.
I think I was just impressed that he went with Daisy Kong on the ticket versus Diddy.
Yeah.
What I can't tell is if this means that Donkey Kong Country has order brought to it, or Donkey Kong is an elected official somewhere on the planet Earth.
New Donk City, man.
Maybe some of both.
Yeah. Also, this may not be just a thing that happens in the world. Maybe there is literally a video game called Prime Minister Donkey Kong that is
Sure.
Election sim?
Yeah, like an election sim. It's like democracy.
The new character for Civ 23 was kind of an odd choice.
Well, I mean, it would have to be kind of an expansion pack / variation on Tropico. That way you could run a Banana Republic.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say he'd be super effective against Gandhi's hunger strikes.
Oh, gee.
Throw bananas at him.
Maybe one of them's going to get in his mouth. Jeez.
He always attacks Italy, though.
Yeah. Got to stop that pipe-laying menace. Let's see. Ben, what does Juan say?
Juan says, in ancient times we used passwords to retain bits of progress. Then we crafted tiny plastic tablets to record our deeds, which have since evolved into seamless autosaves. We've come so far, but saves still get corrupted or disappear altogether. Looking at you, Pokemon Silver / The Witcher 3.
Truth.
I'm just saddened that we live in a world where autosave is considered progress.
What are you going to say?
No, it auto saves your progress.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
I'm curious. Like, I agree with everything here. I'm curious if he thinks this is one of the things that's going to change or one of the things that's going to stay the same.
I think he's saying it's going to stay the same.
I would lean that way as well.
Yeah.
Which is too bad, because it's not like we have tons and tons of technology dedicated to keeping this from happening that we could implement.
Seems like it would be cool if they had like continuous saves or something, so that you could just like rewind your progress like continuously instead of having finite save states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that
the
would
speedrunning
require
implications.
better programming though.
Yeah. Oh well,
And,
I'm still waiting for huge stories of like cloud-based saving just really screwing people over. Like just okay,
Sure,
it's on the cloud, it's remote, but what happens when a corrupted local save gets uploaded and that is treated as the single source of truth?
Well, the thing is, if you're doing it right, you have a progressive series of backups so that every so often the cloud is backed up, every so often the backup is backed up to physical media, and so on down the line.
Yeah.
Kole and David, I believe you're describing the birth of Skynet.
Yep. It happened to make sure Geralt woke up in the right place. Dennis, what does Adam say?
Adam says, I think within 10 years, we will hopefully be all playing together regardless of console. Amen. As to something that stays the same, I think controllers are pretty great now and don't need to change or go away.
Yeah, I agree.
Agree. For sure.
Every once in a while, I'm reminded that Kinect existed, or that, we used to play, that like I go back and I play a game that's primarily on the Wii and I'm like, wow, this is definitely a direction things could have gone. And just the fact that we are back to some of the best handheld controllers that we have had in a very long time, like pretty much on every system. And I think I breathe a sigh of relief.
So this is a question I would pose: is it the best just because you know how to speak that language really well, or is it the best because truly that is the optimal way? Like, train a new generation of kids up on, Kinect is the wrong example, but a different layout for controllers.
I think about this with number-based systems, like whether base 10's the best or base 12 or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. Like,
I mean, there is a lot of theory to that. Basically, if you look at it, you're almost always going to need at least 2 axes of motion, which means at least 2 joysticks, which are probably going to be thumbsticks. So that's probably set in stone.
Yeah.
And then if you look at then you have your other your other fingers, you probably can't realistically get more than 2 trigger buttons per hand. So you'd probably either need to do that or some sort of mouse style placement of the button. So I'd argue that most of the controller design is pretty innately set in stone just by how hands work.
Yeah.
Spoken like someone who assumes there will still be hands in the future.
Right.
Or only 2 hands in the future.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm definitely not a big proponent of there being hands in the future. I'm hoping there's still people by 2028.
Right.
I'm predicting 1 additional robotic hand, and then the N64 controller will actually make sense.
Holy shit.
So although I do have to say trackballs maybe could be a thing.
Do you think they're going to try that again?
I don't know. I'm debating getting one just for my general computing. The only thing keeping me from doing it is I need at least 3 mouse buttons to play Warframe, and there's not any trackball mice on the market that have more than 2.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no better way to play Missile Command, though. Trackball. Trackball is how you play Missile Command. Let's see. Adam writes, is this the right one? No.
Nope,
Bill.
I did Adam.
Bill writes, constant. Call of Duty 27 has just come out. Change. VR is infinitely more popular and now uses full body suits that are able to trick all of the senses. It actually tastes like you're eating a sweet roll in Skyrim remastered. We finally get to find out just how terrible Blighttown and the Valley of Defilement would smell. The suit simulates pain using electrical pulses that your character is when your character is shot / hit with a weapon or falls from a large height. Not sure if it's a suit stuck in the pod, like in Tranquility Lane in Fallout 3, or a suit you move freely in, a la the Danger Room, like in X-Men.
So just behind the scenes, the way that his comment cut off before you hit like the expand button in the Facebook comment was, we finally get to and then it cut off. And I was like, oh God, this could go one of two ways.
The suit got him.
Yeah.
If we finally get to
So I feel like that's something you could probably, rig up, third party, like garage hack style,
Oh, and people
I could, I could probably, I'm thinking rig up a vest that's, connected to your, Dark Souls game, and when you take damage, just fires a taser.
There exists like special, they're almost like smartwatches, but they're connected to the web, and they are designed to shock you with a pretty painful either when something happens that you set out, like, oh, if I tweet more than 5 times in a day, zap me. Like it is ostensibly meant for like conditioning yourself away from bad habits, but is totally meant for BDSM relationships, and that is fine. I just wish they could be honest in their marketing about it.
Just own it, yeah.
Yeah.
We covered something like this, like a suit that you could wear that was tactile when you're playing a game.
That feels like something Jalo would have brought.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I know. I've been my big thing has been, like, my New Year's resolution has just been to stop reading the news.
Okay.
And I've failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
So I could see something that tased me whenever I tried to read the news. I could definitely get behind.
Yeah. Let's see. That was me. So David, what does Ethan say?
Ethan says all controllers are now compostable, but tend to biodegrade in the sun, so eco-conscious gamers have mixed feelings. Lobos Jr. continues to challenge himself by playing Dark Souls with cybernetic arms and a blindfold.
Yeah, that's
See,
Lobos for
there
you.
are going to be extra arms.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the fundamental flaw in this prediction is that it assumes that gamers are ever in the sunlight.
Yeah. And the first part of Ethan's point that all controllers are now compostable, like, I mean, we're almost there with Labo.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not so much a joke as just like something that is technically true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe they call that planned obsolescence.
Yeah. I mean, it lasts as long as your kid will get, it lasts long enough for your kid to get bored with it, and then it doesn't stick around.
David, you're not allowed to be cynical about Nintendo. It's in the user agreement.
Right. Fortunately, he's never bought a Nintendo thing in the past 15 years. Is that correct?
Something like that.
Yeah. Let's see. Ben, what does Michael say?
Michael says, I think a big change in games is their importance and impact in general culture. Once upon a time, it was something weird that only a few odd ducks would do. Good pun.
Mm-hmm. See what you did there.
Now, pretty much everyone in the world plays games at some level. I'm convinced at this point that turn-based JRPGs are always going to be the way they are now. I'm not sure there's room for that genre to change up or grow.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you put the J in front of it, that carries some huge momentum for a certain style.
Yes, it does. And specifically for JRPGs, there are enough people who are invested in those never changing. Yeah.
So
I think you could have developments of AR JRPGs just to add some more levels to it, like Pokemon Go, but like like you have to physically go grind the things.
Yeah, having your little dudes fight on your table.
Pokemon bread, you have to go grind that flour.
Bread.
What is I've been seeing it like pop up on my Steam feed or whatever. What is a CRPG? Is that like Chinese RPG?
No. So computer RPG. Think like Planescape Torment or Baldur's Gate. Just think like usually a Western developed numbers crunchy RPG that is more focused on kind of character creation and development, as opposed to JRPG, which primarily came up on consoles and had kind of like a more fixed story that it was trying to tell.
Okay.
Like contrast Final Fantasy with Fallout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The C in CRPG is so disappointing because I remember learning too. I was like, okay, I know RPG. What is C? Oh, come on. Like,
yeah, I prefer WRPG, but that's my
What's W?
Western.
Yeah. So we need to establish in
See,
our
I
head
thought Western
canon.
RPG was like Dark Souls, like action RPGs.
No. Yeah, well, like yeah, and then there's all kinds of crossover. There are Western studios who develop JRPGs. There are Eastern or Japanese studios who will do something like wizardry. You know?
Yeah, that's just WJRPG and JWRPG.
Yeah,
it's so simple.
Let's go.
We need some vowels
WWRPG
in this at some point.
Oh man, I'm keeping that in. I'm not saying that to make you feel bad, Dennis. We just set a precedent for this episode.
I think it's really good. Kole has something to do after the podcast. He's like, nope, not editing it.
Who did Michael's? Was that you, Ben?
Yeah.
Dennis, what does Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, oh, hey, hitting on a previous theme, we can now use cardboard to play games. I think we transcended reality already.
Yes, we have.
There's nowhere to go from here.
We are already there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gwillem writes, everything's Battle Royale now. The main difference is that we now recognize that deep down, everything was always Battle Royale. Not just video games, but civic life as a whole. Video games have fallen out of favor for being too on the nose of a metaphor, and now people only play them as an act of nostalgic defiance. This contrarianism has transformed the vibrant and healthy and positive gamer audience into one that can sometimes be toxic and volatile. Popular streamers pivot away from video games in favor of silent interpretive dance, but still can't stop themselves from saying the N-word.
Oh no.
And it turns out it was Earth all along. Willem is describing exactly what's happening anyway.
Well done. I like that one.
Good. David, what does Kyle say?
Kyle says, Final Fantasy ends with the last game of the series. Final finality of mortal theater rhythm birth by death. Definitive edition. 9.99 repeating fantasy. What remains the same is Nintendo's ability to ignore trends.
They can't pay attention to trends. They're making them.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really anticipate FFMTBDDEF.
Oh yeah. Well, that
Can't wait.
happens to be the biggest. That is also the largest number that can be rendered in Roman numerals. So. And then we have one more here that I don't want to make everybody refresh to read. So Jonathan says, I'm kind of with a few of you others that VR will probably be more popular or basically the only way to play things. The only constant will remain the jackasses involved on the internet. Yeah.
Echoing Phil Holmes commented on the Slack, not the Facebook, but just that gamers in general will continue to be terrible and toxic.
Yeah.
So hitting on that theme.
Yep.
I feel like you could just step that back and be humans will continue to be terrible and toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll do mine.
On that uplifting note.
the daddening of games will give way to the granddaddening of games. So you're going to be grinding monsters to earn gold to buy your Werther's originals. I guess let's say just kind of hesitantly you're putting up a fake fight when your grandkids ask to stay the night, you know, like, oh, I guess you can stay. Stuff like that. The thing that will stay the same is that violence will still continue to be the primary metaphor and interaction in popular games, and games that rely primarily on other kind of things will continue to be either niche industries or kind of oddities presented for their own sake, even if they do end up taking a little bit more of the market share.
I was going to say or Nintendo games, but technically you're jumping on all those Google's heads.
Yeah,
so.
like that. Like you're exploring, but violence is still put into it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but like Splatoon is just laundering violent play through non-violent theming.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's throwing Jack Thompson off the scent.
How long has it been since he's been relevant? Oh, right.
He came back recently. He had to come back.
He did, because Gamergate embraced him in a weird way. Because he was
he's Trump's national advisor on video games now, or something like that. That's usually about the caliber of person he's pulling in.
Blah.
That means he'll be fired in like 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
David, how about you? What do you think will be different in 10 years, and what do you think will be the same?
So I'm seeing I think the nickel and dime freemium / loot box / whatever model will probably become more or less endemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm predicting a video game crash resulting.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Or at least a lot of regulation that leads to a major change in the way that games are funded.
Yeah.
No.
It's interesting. The several major titles have recently come out with a big selling point of we don't have in-game transactions recently. So I wonder how they'll weasel their way back in.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to become the video game equivalent of like made with all natural ingredients.
Yeah. This this album was recorded in a studio without hard drives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still don't understand that whole like sorry, this is a tangent. Can someone explain to me? I periodically get the like Facebook posts across my feed about how like insert old musician played 84 different instruments at once, and insert new musician has like 30 people involved in the recording of their album.
People just want to yell at kids on their lawn, not recognizing that vapid pop music was always a reality, and they are selectively choosing examples of selectively choosing or creating a misguided example of artists that they view as superior, and thus they must be superior for liking them.
I guess I just always came to the conclusion that like old musicians were idiots. Like, imagine how much they could have accomplished if they didn't insist on playing their own instruments.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's see. Ben, what is different? What stays the same?
I think AR will something that'll be legitimately different. I think that'll basically replace VR, and that you'll kind of have, it'll be more like fluid, where it's like it'll just be like glasses or whatever, and somehow that something that small will be connected to the internet and can just like stream games or whatever. Like that's another thing, is I think game streaming is going to be a thing pretty soon. I guess it's already a thing with like PS Now, but I think that'll be like the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Something that'll stay the same though is I think games will still always cost $60.
Do you think Nintendo will continue to be super hostile to game streaming? Will that be their ability to ignore trends?
I think they'll continue to tell people that they shouldn't play Smash Brothers competitively, and that's not the point of the game.
Right. Yeah.
And that'll still be funny.
For the second part, do you think that games will remain $60 a pop, in spite of pressure to draw their prices downward or pressure to draw their prices upwards?
I don't know. I just
You
know
say
that
because of both.
Yeah.
I just know it's been $60 for the last like 20 years. So why is it going to change in the future?
So I thought it had only been $60 through like the last, say, like cycle and a half or something. I thought it was pretty much prices increased by $10 every console cycle.
So the way that I remember it was back in the PS2 and Xbox generation, they were big publishers and also console developers were pushing $60. So the regular price is $50, and they were pushing $60 special editions, like with 10 boxes or whatever, to see if people would pay for it. This was at the end of PS2 and Xbox. By the time Xbox 360 and PS3 came out, the regular price had gone up to $60, and there it has stayed for major games released at retail, with a vanishingly small number of exceptions.
Yeah, so I guess in 20 years, a change of $10.
Yeah.
I still don't get how that's not price fixing, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. MSRPs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, so Ben stole mine a little bit, which is I think streaming will be completely ubiquitous, not just for games, but for life. So I've seen videos, and it's primarily marketed for like snowboarders or kayakers or whatever, of these like camera carrying drones that you just throw up in the air and then they automatically track and follow you as you do whatever. I think everyone has that, and you actually have to opt out of having your life be something that anyone can peer into at any point.
You opt out of having your life be something people can put ads against.
Yeah.
I did see someone walking their dog that had a little vest on that declared that it was apparently part of Corgi Cam.
Huh.
That's it. Someone was about to mug him and was like, "Oh God, no, it's Corgi Cam. Better back off."
Corgi Cam. I need to see, because the problem with Corgi Cam, as you have described it, I do not want to see a camera pointed away from a corgi. I want to see a camera pointed at the corgis.
I feel like on the plus side, the things I've seen, it's like a sort of behind the head, like third person shooter style, so you can still at least see some of the like adorable mannerisms.
Right.
So what you're saying is it's a CRPG.
Yep, exactly. So what do you think will remain the same?
What is going to stay the same? I could say something cynical about online communities. I had something that it dropped out of my head here.
Yeah.
I think that review scores will continue to be between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, between like 7 and 9 as the canonical scale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well,
yeah, I don't know why that one fell out of my head for a minute.
No worries. Yeah. So thank you everybody for responding to that. Watch for multiplayer prompts to go up on facebook.com/the level podcast. Those go up on Monday. Yeah, Monday afternoons and evenings, thanks to Jala and Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. I may ask that we keep it to 1 or 2 games, or just a handful, because it has been a while. If you have a massive backlog, feel free to bring it up next time. Then, that's just to make sure we don't go on until 11 o'clock tonight. Yeah, so I'm going to start us off. Weirdly enough, Ben, you were the one who was not here, not last episode, but 2 episodes ago. You were not here for 241. So I'm going to throw it to you and see what you've been playing.
Yeah, I think my game of choice will be God of War. So I think the last time I was on, I think I had just recently purchased it, but I hadn't installed it and started playing it. I have since beaten the game proper, not 100%ed it.
There's like a bunch of like post-game content, right?
There's a decent amount of post-game content. I did all the side quests, I guess, with the main quest. So the only thing left to do is like a lot of like beat 'em up battles, and that's kind of where I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that like the selling point of the game, is beating dudes up?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know. For me, at least, the selling points of the previous God of War games is they do a good job of having like really good boss battles. They have a really good art style. They have okay puzzles that aren't bad. They're like, they pass, and then they just have really pretty like over the top environments and set pieces.
And mandatory at least 1 threesome per game.
Yes, that used to be a thing. They have stopped doing that. Actually, there was an article on Polygon a couple weeks ago talking about how like trying to talk about how they wanted to not have the masculinity of Kratos be like toxic and like misogynistic, which is, it's hard to say that the previous incarnations weren't, but you could also argue
I don't
part
think anyone would say they weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same people that are complaining about realism in Battlefield 5.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this entry, and I think this has been kind of like the common commentary of it, is that this is basically like a Naughty Dog version of God of War, where
you sir have my attention.
Yeah. So the main difference in the game is it's no longer in ancient Greek history. They've kind of killed them all off by now. So they went to the Norse mythology. And so you're kind of introduced. You don't know how Kratos got there. You just know that Kratos is in a place that is Norse-like, and the information slowly starts filling in. In addition, the game starts off. This is like the first 5 minutes, so apologies if this spoils information for people, but this is also like the first 5 minutes. It opens up with Kratos and his son chopping down a tree to burn their mother, his mother or his wife, and then his kid's mother or whatever, because she had just died. And so that's kind of like the initiative of the game is his wife died, and her dying wish was for them to travel together to the highest mountain and release her ashes.
Okay.
So they're going to Everest.
Yeah. So basically, it's like Journey in terms of like, hey, this is the game. Like that's where you're going, you know.
Uh-huh.
But the entire game is basically like a Naughty Dog game because you are with your son the entire time. It's not like, hey, let's go to this area, kill like a dozen people, go to this area, kill a dozen people. It happens to be that, but in between those moments, there's now like dialogue with your son, and then climbing, and then you kill like a dozen people, and then you have more dialogue with your son and climbing, and then you kill a dozen people, and then there's like puzzles and there's person there as well.
See, I just figured like all of the shots I see is just Kratos being like incredibly disappointed with his son.
Yeah,
and I figured that was the reason why there were no more threesomes. It's just like, nah, this isn't happening again.
My son is a boner killer. Yeah. No, there's like some memes that have arisen from this game. I think the most prevalent one is Kratos just yelling "boy" towards his son.
Boy.
He says that the entire game. But yeah, it's Kratos is bearded now is the other change. He no longer has the blades of chaos from the other games. He just has an axe instead.
That?
Huh?
Do they explain like?
There's again, this is the first 5 minutes. I'm fine with saying this. Is he just has like sheets or bandages around his arms, and so it's kind of like it's like a reference, like like, I don't know. This is like something from my past, and he's like hiding it from everyone.
Yeah. Because those chains were like fused with a skeleton, Wolverine like, right?
Kind of, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
In the first game, at least, I think by the third game he'd weasel out of that, like forced to use them, but still.
Yeah.
By the third game, they dropped all pretense that there was any plot.
Yeah, which is that's it's remarkable that this continues to be in continuity, right? And with regards to how outsized it had become.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that. I thought they were like rebooting, but they like still hold it true. Like his checkered past is him killing an entire pantheon of Greek gods.
Right. And like
that's like, yeah.
I mean, I've seen like shots of just these gigantic heads rising out of the water. Like, is the Norse pantheon saying like, "Oh shit, no, you don't come into my yard. Like, you don't come around here. I know what happens."
Yes, I mean, I will put it as vaguely as possible and say there's some friction with Kratos and the rest of the Norse gods, but I won't go into it more than that.
Okay.
There is a great voice cameo where two brothers in the story are voiced by Nolan North and then Troy Barker. Is it Troy Baker?
Troy Baker, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Nice.
Yeah, I
They're
didn't realize
required to be in there.
And and of course they're like competing brothers, who are really like competitive and make fun of one another. So nice. I thought that
those had to be written for them.
Yeah, I imagine so. Another point people have made that I thought was a good one is that they kind of it's kind of like the junior varsity cast of the Norse gods, or like they kind of hold back from revealing everyone, which is good because they've left a lot of room to develop this and make like a sequel on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think going back to what go ahead.
When you say junior varsity, like which gods, or like kind of
so Baldur, which I guess I had always heard.
I was going to say, is it
but
Baldur?
I didn't know that was an actual Norse god.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's certain ones who I thought might be in the game who ended up not being in the game. So I don't know. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give away who's in it and who's not. But the point is that there's plenty of room after this game. It's like they've definitely built up a platform that they can jump off to and make like a sequel, nice. Which I think they most definitely will after like the success of this game. The only I think downside in terms of it being a Naughty Dog game version of God of War, it's a really good game. Like that formula works, and like they've made like beautiful environments. Like the art style is just as strong in this as the art style in like The Last of Us, and I think that's like a huge compliment.
High praise.
I mean, but it's different based on the style, right? There's these like giant, grand, like Norse like vistas that you see, and there's again, try not to give away a lot, but there's certain like settings or whatever that are just like amazingly done, and they're just like so cinematic. That said, a few of the missteps of the game, there's a few points of the game where it feels like they're just kind of doing game design by the numbers, without giving too much away. Like there's one section where you and your son don't get along, and it's very similar to the section in The Last of Us where the girl Ellie is like despondent and not responding to like commands that you're telling her, you know. So like that was something that seemed like it was original in The Last of Us, but here it just feels kind of like a carbon copy of it. Another thing is so they have like the integration of scenes like similar to Naughty Dog games where they're completely mocapped, you know, and so you can tell it's like people acting on a stage, and they've just like, you know, put the God of War characters on top of that. Some of like the act, it's fine. It's just whenever you watch it, at least in my mind, I think of like the behind the scenes of like the Naughty Dog games of like people just acting on a stage and having like props and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
But,
is the child played by a literal like 13-year-old?
I'm not sure, because I thought Ellie was a kid, but that was like a full-grown woman, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and there's some weird, like with the mocapped action, like there's some weird sizing stuff that has to happen if it's a full-grown actor.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure. There's also some dwarves in the game, so there's also other people who are little. And the point I was trying to say is towards the end, there's like a couple of scenes where the acting feels very forced, and it's like, this is just a dramatic scene because we need a dramatic scene here. Yeah. Like, I mean, they kind of like tried to say what the motivations of the character were, but I thought they were kind of unbelievable. So I was kind of disappointed by some of that. There were like a couple of like cutscenes where I was just kind of like checked out, and so that was something I was disappointed by. But that's not to be like an indictment of the game. The game itself is really, really good. The combat's pretty solid. I feel like it's as good as any of the other God of War games. I really do like the addition of the axe. I thought that was like a good addition. Like the main mechanic of it is that you can throw it at people, and then you can like claim it back at any point and have it fly back to your hand.
So it's like Mjolnir.
So in the meantime, you just like fisticuffs?
Yeah, which is a valid way to fight. The fighting system's kind of interesting. They have 2 meters on enemies. Like one is their health, which you slowly knock down after you hit them a bunch of times, and the other is kind of like their I don't know, they're like Street Fighter dizziness type meter, I guess.
Okay.
And so
punch drunk.
If you punch them a bunch of times as opposed to hitting them with a knife, like they get in like a dizzy state where you can insta-kill them with like a cutscene. Okay. Which more often than not is Kratos just stomping on their face in the ground, which is, I don't know, at least elicits some sort of reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was like kind of an interesting way to do it as well. There is like a couple of points in the game, or if you're just playing through the game regular, you can kind of cheese it where you just like keep throwing the axe and recalling it over and over as a way to fight people. Even on the harder difficulties, that might be something you do, because that kind of makes it so that you're fighting them over there and they're never at risk of hitting you.
Right.
So sometimes it feels like you're kind of like breaking the combat system, but I mean, that's not a huge, I don't know. It still feels good.
You're describing multiple ways to engage with enemies. Does the game give you any ability to like upgrade or to kind of direct Kronos's abilities or build?
Yeah. So not only is like all your armor upgradable and your weapons are upgradable, basically all it does is like all the enemies have a level to them. It's pretty much on like a 1 to 10 scale. I think towards the end of the game, you're fighting people who are like level 6 or 7 or 8 maybe. All upgrading your weapon does, like it increases the like strength attribute of it, and then after like basically your strength's high enough on a weapon, you just level up to like level 2. You Kratos as a character, and it's kind of like a cumulative effect of leveling up all your armor and swords, so it's kind of like the levels almost don't mean anything, but it's nothing more than like kind of like a marker to say like you can take these enemies, but you probably shouldn't fight these enemies, sort of thing.
Right. The way to, like a consideration system.
You got this, bro.
Yeah, pretty much. And they do other things too. Like they highlight the color of the health is changes colors based on how difficult the enemy is. So like if it's purple, that means that you like should not mess with them. They will like one shot you.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, and so I mean it's nice. It's like an easy way to tell. So that part's cool. I will say the level design is really good. There's kind of like a hub part of the world that was just really well thought out and really well crafted, and so that part was cool. Let's see if there's other compliments I can pour on this. Yeah, the side quests are good. They feel like valuable or meaningful. Like you're actively like affecting the environment. There's not like a lot of rewards for the side quests outside of just giving you kind of like money to level up stuff.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. You were asking like how the fighting changes. You basically have like 4 special moves that you can do. And you basically can upgrade so when you complete side quests or when you just like explore areas, you sometimes will find like this new move, and you basically can choose like maybe like one of like 5 or 6 different options that you accumulate for the game as like your special move.
Mm-hmm.
And you can upgrade that. And so like one of them, for example, might be he like raises flames out of the ground and like shoots 2 people in the air or something like that. Or another one is he might throw his axe really hard and it freezes them and they like are permanently frozen until you take the axe out of them. So there's stuff like that, which kind of make the combat more interesting, or you can kind of like cater it to how you want to fight.
Yeah. Is the combat as like hectic and flashy as it got in 3, or have they kind of changed the pace of it as well?
I mean, it feels very similar, like if not the same, like a cousin or a brother to how it was in the previous games.
Yeah.
Like it's still like in the previous ones, I'm pretty sure they had like Cyclops, you know, the one that you like rip the eye out of, and how you can climb on it and ride it and stuff like that. They have another thing like this where they have a big guy that, you know, after you wear him down, you can ride on him and have him attack other people, or, you know, like, they have stuff like that. They've like introduced a few new ones, and there's a few like different enemies that are different. Like there's these one things that are kind of like almost like flying turrets that like shoot bullets at you. But they're like slimy eye things or whatever. So there's like some things that kind of like make the combat a little bit different and the reason why they can do that is because you can throw your axe at those people. So like there are enemies that kind of reinforce like the new things you can do in the combat system. But in general, it does feel the same though, where it's like, here's a dozen enemies, you can kill them. They still have the Spartan Rage system where you kind of like slowly accumulate this over time, and you can press both the thumbsticks and you just like beat a bunch of people like handedly. It's like
Nice.
your rage mode or whatever. That still feels good. It seems like a nice like tactic where you kind of want to hold it until you get to a stronger enemy and then use it. So that's still fun. I think just the main difference is that it's definitely like a Naughty Dog game. Emphasis on climbing, emphasis on beautiful art, and then a lot of dialogue in between scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My final question here: the fact that it is all done in one shot, like in an Alejandro Iñárritu, or Birdman kind of style, like, is that noticeable and is it additive?
I think it's a cool idea that they did that. There are breaks in it at a few points, because I was looking for that maybe in the first half of the game, and there was like one point where there is like a cut, or there's arguably a cut, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, sure, you can do that, and that's fine. And I think it's cool. I think it's good to help like immersion or whatever, because you never leave Kratos and the boy. You know, like that's where you are the entire time.
Right.
So from that point of view, I think that's fine. I think that's a good choice. I don't know. I don't know what to think about outside of that. I think it's just an aid for immersion. I don't really like. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, all games should do this or anything like that. But
yeah.
So when you're saying like single shot, is this like Half-Life 2 style type of thing?
Yeah, kind of. It's like when it goes into a cutscene, it'll just seamlessly go from the third-person perspective into the cutscene.
Yeah,
and then back.
Yeah, it's all done with camera moves as opposed to camera cuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are like time jumps and stuff.
Yeah, so I think towards like the latter half of the game, I believe there are some points where you flash to different things or do some like flashback stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I can think of one in particular. I know one point where there's a cut halfway through the game, but I didn't really track it much after that. So
yeah.
What I will say is, do you think their choice to make a cut at that point actually like enabled the story to be better?
Like that's the thing is like like in Birdman, there's a point to having it be continuous. Like here, it doesn't matter whether it's continuous or not. And so I think that's why I stopped tracking after a while, because it's like I don't care. Like if you do it all in one take, sweet. But you know,
that's why I asked if it was additive.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play this.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll mention is it's like a long game too. Like I probably played it for maybe upwards of 40 hours or so.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of content there. So I was very happily surprised by that.
Nice.
I think there's one point where I was playing it where it's like maybe like getting to be like 11 or midnight. I'm like, I feel like it's getting close to the end, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh no!
It was like 2 or 3, and it was like, nope, it's not ending.
Okay,
so
I better.
Pulled a Last Jedi on you.
Yeah.
Better just cut bait. Yeah. Cool. Well, any final thoughts or other questions from David or Dennis about God of War?
It made me realize that my PlayStation is just a machine so that I can play a game like this.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much on PC, it seems. So.
Same. Yep. Cool. What else, Ben?
We played A Way Out, but you were covering that for a different podcast.
Yeah.
And I already talked about it, I think. So.
Okay, yeah. So I want to ask, did anything new pop out at you? Either by playing it online or by looking at it a second time?
It is harder to play the game online than it is on a split screen.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience.
No, that's fine. We played it over 3 days. I think the first 2 days we only did like 2 hours each day, and then the last day was probably like more like 4 hours or so. So
I think the last day was pretty short.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm misjudging it. Okay. I thought it was about like 8 hours cumulatively, but maybe not. But the third day we had it down. Like we didn't run into any issues that day.
Yeah, we just hopped on and went for it.
But it's still cool the fact that I was able to play the game without having purchased it. You know, like we just need one person to have the game. So
yeah,
kudos at least for them for trying that. You actually made, because there's a couple of points in the game where it's like a kind of like a heavy rain sort of situation where it's like you have to choose one thing or another, and it's going to make like a permanent choice. And then afterwards you find out it just changes the cutscene and that's it.
Right.
But I let you drive that since I had already played the game. So like I think we went with your decisions. But a lot of the choices you made were the choices that I made when I was playing with my brother, and like strong armed him into doing that.
Yeah. In general, we opted to do the like the low key stuff, the stuff that didn't involve just like rushing in and like beating people up or tying them down.
Shoot a puppy or pet it.
Yeah, we opted more for subtlety.
Why is that a choice? So I think most of the content I saw was the same. I think I don't know if we mentioned this before or not. I kept doing the death animations or trying to find some of the borders of the game. So that was new.
There would be times where just really, you know, like riding the momentum of the story, like, you know, for all its ups and downs in terms of quality, it's still a ride. And like, oh my gosh, it's like one guy's flying through the air and everything is in slow motion. Like I'm reaching at him, holding the button, come on, grab me. And then like I don't see her meter filling up at all. And I was like, he falls off the cliff. Like, oh, okay. Like now I remember what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a game. Yeah.
So much for immersion.
Yeah. No, it was very funny. I had a good time. Playing it.
What did if it doesn't take too much away from your other coverage of the game, what did you think of the game? Because I kind of had like the same sort of experience as I did before.
I had a very good time with it. I don't think that it's very good. If that's you know, a lot of the time we were laughing, but I felt like I was laughing at it or like laughing in spite of it. Like
poor game.
It definitely has like the dialogue problem that like Heavy Rain does, where it's like, I don't understand why they wrote these words on a piece of paper, and this is what they like went with.
Right.
Like the characters seem like aliens or like body snatchers some of the time.
I am human. Yeah.
Wait, is this made by Heavy Rain guy?
No. This is by the people who did Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I come down on it, and like it's just one of those things. Like, does something have to be good to be fun? Does something have to be fun to be good? Like those are separate axes, I think,
they are.
in a lot of ways. So like I wouldn't trade that time in, even if I was, you know, even if I wasn't doing it, you know, for a show, right? Like I had a good time playing that goofy thing and clowning on it with you. So like that speaks to its credit more than anything, right?
Yeah, they fill the game with a lot of like kind of fun things to do, but then a weird narrative at points.
Yes.
But they had a lot of cool. They had a lot of cool narrative points. Most of them were stolen from Hollywood movies, but that's fine. You know,
stolen just completely shamelessly.
Yeah, making noise as lightning strikes as you're escaping the prison. It's
Oh, I thought that was stolen from like all of the sniper games.
No, that was that is definitely a plot point in Shawshank Redemption. The crime lord attacking everybody with an M79 grenade launcher in his opulent mansion.
Oh, really? That's a little on the nose.
A little bit, yeah.
I did like something I didn't notice was like, and I think we talked about this as we played it. In every business meeting, the bad guy just shoots the person that he's talking to. And it's just like, how does he get meetings from people? Like, how does we're not part of this?
Yeah. I think that entire game can be summed up by the sequence in the farmhouse. like that, you know, the both of them trying to eat the plant, both of them playing music and just like trying on normal life. Either as the two inhabitants are chasing their horses that you let out, or struggling in the closet after you tied them up.
I haven't seen the cutscene for that. Yeah, one of the options is it's like beat up old people or cause a distraction. It's like, okay,
yeah. So we're talking about
clearly
this.
You go with beat up old people.
So
I wanted to role play, so I decided not to.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been what I would have done, even though that was what my character would have done. No, so we're talking about like we have almost a 3-hour WAF about it coming up. Like the early release is this week as this episode comes out, or you know the main release is the week after that. I would recommend people listen to that, or you know just like find somebody who has a way out and ask them to play it with you.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely listen to the episode because I'm interested to hear what Gary thinks as well.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, it's fun. Anything else, Ben?
That's all I got.
Cool. I'll do mine because outside of playing stuff for shows, it hasn't been an awful lot. I've done more streaming. I finished up Sherlock Holmes: The Awakens a couple weekends ago. That's not a very good video game, guys.
It is not?
No, it is not good. I remember playing it back when it came out in 2007 and being kind of like all about it. Like, oh my gosh, it's like a Sherlock Holmes and it's a first-person adventure game and you're solving mysteries and inputting your answers and stuff. Nothing in it makes a goddamn lick of sense. I don't know how I tolerated it a long time ago. And you can kind of see...
To be fair, it is combining Sherlock Holmes and Lovecraft.
Well, I mean, just like from like a gameplay or puzzle design kind of thing. like the story can be way out there, but like there are times where it's just like laughable how slipshod the entire thing is, and just how obviously budget isn't everything, but it matters, especially when it encroaches on play. Right? So that sucks because that's a game that I remember enjoying very much, and going back to it definitely suffered in the revisit.
Doesn't invalidate the original time you spent with it, but
true, yeah. Like that was that was one of the big games that I
disagree.
played.
You now must hate the original time you spent.
Yep. All we have is now.
Purge it from your memory.
Yeah. Well, I definitely won't speak about it on such warm terms as like a cool little experiment, you know. Oh well. Any questions about that? The other thing that I've been doing, I have caved to online trends and played House Flipper.
What is that? I have not heard of this.
So I streamed this. I brought back Chill Out with Duckfeed. Blah, I didn't mean to like stutter over that. I brought back Chill Out with Duckfeed to play this. So this is a game that is kind of in the blank simulator kind of vein of things, where it is a very simple, mundane simulation that has a slight economic model put on top of it. So the idea of House Flipper is you're playing as, you know, first a handyman who is doing odd jobs to get money. And eventually you're trying to build up enough money to buy houses and restore them so you can sell them to particular buyers. But everything is kind of played out by you and you alone going into these houses and cleaning them up and painting them and knocking down walls and putting up walls and furnishing them and like attaching all the fixtures and stuff. Yep. Well, I mean, like in one of those houses I did, like I got an email from a landlord saying like, yeah, I had to kick these students out because they weren't paying rent. Turns out they messed up the place. So you go in and like every surface is covered in liquor bottles. You have to vacuum up roaches and stuff like that. But like it's a little bit like Viscera cleanup detail is the comparison that kept being made when I streamed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you go in, you survey the mess, and then you just like routinely, clean stuff up, and then you're following your client's requests. Or if you're doing the house flipping thing, which I haven't done yet, but I'm excited to get into it. It's like, okay, I have this house and I know that like this particular buyer is in the price range for it. Like, what do they want? Like, what kind of colors do they want all over the place? Like, how many bathrooms do they tend to want, et cetera? And then like working your design, almost making it like a first person version of The Sims,
Oh, so you can, at least to some degree, like modify the house?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about destroying exterior walls, but like if you want to like knock down knock down a wall between two rooms to make one bigger, or like get rid of a hallway and turn it into more of an open floor plan kind of thing, like that is totally available to you, turning storage rooms into bathrooms, et cetera, and down the line. So like you have a pretty good amount of like customizability to work into there. And as you perform these skills, you get points that can be invested to make yourself more effective. So like painting in the game sucks, just like painting in real life sucks. Like yeah. But like you can invest your kind of development points to like make it so that you don't waste paint on parts of the wall that are already painted, or like painting multiple strips of the wall at the same time.
So you can become magic.
Yes.
So how realistic is some of this stuff? Like I see a bunch of wiring stuff in the videos. Like, are you coming away from this with like actually better understanding of how all that stuff works?
Nah, not really. Because all of that is done almost as just like little click QTEs. So like it highlights a part that you click on and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to wire the positive, the negative, and the grounds. And then, you screw it onto there. There's no real way to like fuck it up. But like some of this was stuff that I knew. Like I know how to wire an outlet. I know how to put in a sink. I know how to install a bathtub. Just stuff that I've gotten from working with my dad and grandpa and brother, just doing odds and ends around the house. So like I have enough ability to like recognize what is going on when it's happening. But like I'm not coming away feeling like more edified about like how to go and do that than the information, than I did, carrying the information that I had into it.
Got it.
Yeah. But like, it is definitely like that joke on The Simpsons, like, oh, I want to use the yard work simulator, after the kids refuse to do yard work at the house, like it's definitely like, why in the world would somebody play this? But just like Viscera Cleanup Detail or any other of these kind of simulator games, think Truck Simulator or whatever, like you are playing it to get either for a stream, which I have done and can plan to continue doing, or to kind of go into just kind of like this meditative state where you are like, just like I need to clean up the space. I need to just kind of take it and bit by bit, by performing these small tasks, just like mindlessly transform it.
It's something you can control.
If you ever feel the need, feel free to come to my place.
No, I have cleaning of my own to do.
Well, here's the thing: is like yes, it feels good to bring order, but this is a format where like they're moving fridges around the room and all that stuff. Where it's like normally that would take a team of people and lots and lots of effort, but it's the order without the effort.
Yes, definitely. It is,
and truly that is what is wrong with millennials these days. Am I
right? But like it when I play The Sims, I often like rearrange things or try to update. Like it is also an attempt to design and modify and control a space. And I that same itch is scratched here, along with the economic lemonade stand itch of like I need to maximize my time and minimize my materials so I can turn a profit on this, So House Flipper is very cool and good despite its kind of low production value. I think a lot of the I heard this mentioned on another podcast that like definitely for the furniture and stuff, they just brought in a library of 3D renders of IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm okay with that.
Oh, it's fine.
No, I mean, just in general. Like, I feel like of all the things to, like, cheap out on.
Yeah. But it is neat. And it's not like I'm surprised that I enjoy this because I'm a boring ass old man or whatever. But, like, no, it is definitely cool. And, it's kind of sad that it's going to be like a fad that goes away when the next thing comes out. so I want to enjoy it while it's still on people's tongues.
When is the next time you're streaming it?
Don't know.
Okay.
Yep, but watch for the alerts.
Cool stuff.
Cool. So those
What
are
else
my
you been doing?
those are my two things. That's really been about it. But since you were so eager to hear mine, Dennis, what have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk about mine. I've been up to a PlayStation VR.
What?
So I finally took the plunge on that bad boy.
Nice.
Been eyeing it for a while, and have had it for a little over a week now. I think I'd just gotten it the last time when we did our abbreviated episode. So
Nice.
But that's been fun. It is.
What games?
Yeah. So 2 games I'll talk about this week, which is Skyrim, and that comes in the bundle that I got the PSVR with, and then Riggs, which is a mechanized combat league game that I'm very positive about. But just first, real quick, just about the actual hardware. This is like incredibly well designed and incredibly comfortable. Like I've had now some longer sessions of playing, and I would have expected, it to get feel heavy on my head or something to start itching or I don't know what. But it's just felt like it wasn't there the entire time. So kudos to Sony for making something that just fits really well. And in my limited experience with other VR goggles, it's become uncomfortable really quickly. So I was kind of bracing myself for that going in. But it kind of funny story from my first time trying it is, I was really excited to try it, and apparently that means that my body decides to be like 1,000,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I promptly fogged up the lens every time I put it on my face. It's like, damn it, I just want to play, but I can't see through the lens. So they give you a cloth to wipe it off. And
you got to get some of that, the stuff for swim goggles.
Oh, yeah, really?
Rain-X?
It was...
Huh?
Rain-X?
No. There's stuff you spray on the inside of snorkel or scuba diving goggles to keep them from fogging.
Okay.
Interesting.
They have this for paintball goggles too, as well. I think.
I imagine there's enough other cases that there would be solutions out there. My solution is just to make sure that there's a fan on hand in the living room now.
Yes.
And blowing my direction. So as I'm wandering around Skyrim, there is always a breeze blowing left to right across my body.
Appropriate.
And that seems to do the trick nicely.
I'm a little surprised there hasn't been some sort of peripheral or something that snaps on and makes it fan you or something.
Fans directly on your eyes.
Little windshield wipers on the inside. Yeah, so that's just one of those ones where you're just very aware of your physicality and be like, damn it, body, what are you doing? But calm down eventually, and have no trouble with that now, and have been really, really enjoying the games. I also got the Move controllers. The bundle came with the PSVR and 2 Move controllers, which probably leads into Skyrim the best.
Okay.
Because the VR version is the full game and all expansions. I won't say rebuilt from the ground up, but the entirety of it is playable using complete motion control. So I play the game standing up. I play it without a controller anywhere near me, and it works incredibly well. Like the Move controllers track, you can tell the PSVR tracks. I've had 1 or 2 instances where it's been a little bit confused, but just by quickly holding out my hands to show it clearly, that rectifies it quickly. And it is really, really impressive. I hadn't played the game before, so that's part of the fun for me is, Skyrim was such a thing for so long, and I never touched it. I never paid any attention to it. So not only am I getting to come to the game fresh, but I'm getting to come to the game fresh in VR. And it works really, really well. So just, moving around is something that there's a lot of considerations for VR built into the game.
I'm curious about that. Is it a situation where you're just kind of free walking with 2 sticks, or is it where you are pointing at a place and you warp there, you're doing a drag to get to there?
Yeah, so default controls is a teleport mechanic. So you push the left move button and point it where you want to warp to, and you'll warp there. And closely, as long as it's within a reasonable distance of you, It doesn't take any stamina. If you kind of lob yourself further away, because there's like an arc to your aiming, so you can only teleport so far at once.
Right.
But if you go outside a certain radius, it'll drain all your stamina as you get there.
Right.
So you're required to like take the mage class, or how do they like explain the fact that you're nightcrawling all over?
Same way they explain the fact that you're a robot.
Yes.
No. Sorry.
No, real quick. Hey, David, you've definitely unplugged your microphone again.
I'm sorry. I need to figure out a better.
The problem is I'm sitting on the floor in order to avoid echoes.
Okay.
Oh. It sounds sweet when it gets unplugged because it sounds like the intercom character in a video game.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
No, there is no attempt whatsoever to explain it. Or make it in fiction at all. It's just the way you move. Which I thought, they could have done something around like, oh, you're paralyzed, but you've got mage powers, so this is how you... But that would just feel overly convoluted.
Right.
How does it work for combat? Like, because you're like stationary pretty much for combat then?
Well, if you're using that format, yes. But the thing is, I mean, you can teleport at any time, and it's literally as easy as a flick of a wrist. Okay. So the one thing I saw a complaint of is like if you're using teleport, it's not really that easy to back up. You can kind of like throw a blind teleport over your shoulder, I guess. But yeah, so there's not a ton of backing up. I wouldn't know though, because I've been focused almost entirely on archery with a little bit of destruction magic mixed in.
To be fair, that is the correct option.
Oh, for regular, not just for VR.
Yeah,
it's a good way to play.
General.
The archery skill tree it owns bones. Basically,
yes.
It eventually turns the game like into Fallout system VATS.
Yes, and so if it was that way with the regular game, it is that times 100 for VR, because nothing, I repeat, nothing feels as good as snapping off a shot by literally pulling the arrow back and letting fly.
Oh, they pull that trick out again?
Yes.
Nice.
So you are literally like, holding the bow with one hand and then knocking the arrow by putting it close, pulling back with the trigger held down, and then loosing the trigger to let the arrow fly. Mm-hmm. And it feels completely natural. And as I mentioned, I've been surprised at how well it tracks. And it literally you're not aiming with the right stick. You're not aiming with anything other than looking along the arrow. And that is amazing. I think the second skill in the archery skill tree actually does give you a crosshair. And for people who have played the game, remind me, is it that way in the normal version?
I can't recall.
Okay. Yeah, one of the skills.
Have it, right?
Yeah. It is a perk that you have to take in the skill tree, at least for VR. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I took it not being like, oh, this will be something. I try to use it as little as possible.
Yeah.
So unless I'm really trying to focus in for a long range shot, I'm trying to play as much as possible just firing by aiming, without any HUD or assist or anything like that. Nice. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Which it makes it feel so good if you just manage to perfectly pick off that person that's trying to dodge you. It's really, really rewarding. Nice. So that's the way to play the game. Visuals, I think, have definitely been dialed back. I don't have a reference point for how the game was originally. And as long as you're right up next to something, it looks great. Like the detail is all there and it feels very current gen. But I'm trying to think of a way to explain it right. The detail that the game is pushing out falls off faster than your eyes would normally have to lose detail, right? Okay. So I find myself looking at a sign off in the distance and it being a little bit fuzzy. And in real life, I could just like refocus my eyes and actually read it. But in the game world, I can't read it because it's literally just fuzzy. Yeah. So this is maybe preview of me in 5 years, 10 years now when I start needing glasses.
Well, no, that's a side effect of teleportitis. The vision starts to go.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a real shame.
Yeah, so at close range, it's great. And long range, like the vistas in this game are so freaking cool. Mm-hmm. You just looking across a mountain range in 3D, or the one that got me was looking up at the moon and for the first time. And it's, it is in the game what everyone thinks of when they hear the term supermoon.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Like there is actually a 3D-ness to it, and I don't know exactly what they did for that, but it was just really cool to look up and see this giant moon hanging in the sky.
Yeah.
For the first time, and it's still something like every time I'm walking around at night, I'll make sure I pick out where the moon is because it's just fun to see. Like it is very beautiful. It was beautiful before. At long range is beautiful. Close range is beautiful. Mid range, you can tell it's a video game and that this is not, the top of the top of the top of the line machine running this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
also,
which is okay.
A game originally designed in 2011. Like,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. So again, that's where I don't have that reference point to say whether the graphics are on par with what they've always been, and now it's just you're seeing it from a different perspective or what. But I want to go back to the movement because I tried teleportation for a little bit, but I found it to be really, really disorienting. And so I switched over to the second option, which is like I forget what they call it, but regular movement, where you hold the move button that would normally be used for teleport just to start walking forwards. You double tap it to start running. And then you turn with the circle or the X and the circle button on the right move controller allow you to like rotate beyond what you could normally do just looking.
Okay.
But beyond that, when you start moving, you move whatever direction your left move controller is pointing. Okay. So it essentially functions as a left analog stick.
Right.
To where if I want to back up, I just kind of rotate and point behind me. And it's very easy to run backwards if I need to. Mm-hmm. So that actually wound up being the thing that was felt the best for me. It's a little bit more vertigo inducing, especially if you're going up or down a steep slope.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I think it is one of those things, at least for me, I'm very fortunate. I felt a little bit clammy and it was definitely like, whoa, I never felt sick. And then now it feels completely natural to me. Like it just took a couple play sessions to get used to it.
Yeah.
Even to the point where when you start sprinting or moving quickly in one direction, it will narrow your field of view by default. I guess it's supposed to help with nausea.
Okay.
But that again made me feel claustrophobic. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So every convenience in here, the teleportation, the field of view, the stuff that's meant to make it better made it worse for me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they really need to learn to make all of this configurable.
They do. So I turned all that stuff off.
Oh, nice.
They actually do a really good job. You can set the exact level of sensitivity for how fast you turn when you hold X or circle, and all the options are in there. So it is they do a very good job on that front, and I felt like I was able to get to the point that was just right for me. It happens to be that is all the convenient stuff turned off for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's Skyrim.
You're just ready for the cyborg takeover.
Yeah, I guess so. It is really cool to have a VR game and one that makes full use of motion controls. That's the other cool thing is being able to literally peek around a corner.
Yeah.
That works really well, and then just reaching out to grab stuff off of tables feels really good. So
nice.
I'm excited that this is a hundreds of hours experience that I'll be able to return to in VR over and over again, because by and large my experience with all the demo disc stuff or VR games in general as I'm looking up reviews is it's all 10 hours or less, unfortunately so far. So that's Skyrim. I don't know if you guys have any questions about that or about VR in general.
No, I think you covered a lot of my kind of logistical questions about this.
I do have a question, but it's not about VR. What class are you playing as in Skyrim?
Yeah, so by class, I assume you mean race, right? Or
like which branch are you doing upgrades in? I guess.
Oh yeah. So I'm doing I'm a Bossamer or a wood elf because they got a bonus to archery, and then I'm almost completely focused on archery.
Yep.
All of my skill points have gone there.
You chose the correct path.
Yes.
There is
I
one.
love the fact that all the wood elf booze is meat.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're an explicitly carnivorous race.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't really gotten that out of the lore yet. Reading a book is very interesting in VR because it literally you grab a book and it'll open it up in front of you, and then you're just standing there reading for however long it takes to get through, and just flicking your wrist to turn the page every now and again. And it's very immersive, but you feel like you're probably looking a little stupid in the real world.
No, yeah.
Just standing there.
You check your shame at the door, I think, when you put one of those helmets on.
Oh, for sure. The archery skill tree is at the beginning of the game. You can choose one of 3 like stones that makes a group of upgrades 20% faster.
Uh-huh.
And archery is listed like in all the literature as in the warrior path, but the actual bonus to it comes from choosing the thief stone, and that's something you could only know by going online. And I'm glad I did, because otherwise I would have been passing up a huge amount of experience.
Yes.
Also, be glad this is the first Elder Scrolls game where you could do that, and all of the previous ones, you basically wanted to spec into the skills you never intended to use so that you wouldn't artificially get leveled up.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
Cool.
If you accidentally said like, oh, I like the idea of having acrobatics being a main thing of my guy. No, what would happen was you would level up most times you jumped. You would gain experience every time you jumped, and you would vastly outstrip, or you would level up all the enemies around you and make the game impossible because all you could do well was jump.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
and it's
that
like
default's gone.
you need to get exactly exactly 5 levels in whatever stat you want to level up, and then 10 levels in one of your things that counts towards actually gaining the level. Like it was a clusterfuck.
Huh. Yeah, glad I dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
But VR was the perfect time for me to come to Skyrim, and it's cool to have a game that I know I'm going to be coming back to for a long time.
Pro tip, if you haven't gotten or messed around with it yet, the Thieves Guild, pretty much all of the guilds, the Thieves Guild quests are a lot of fun, as are the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah.
I've only discovered the companions so far.
Those are
very
fun.
early in the game.
The Companions Guild is good.
Some guy said something walking up that makes me think maybe they're vampires, but I don't. Anyway, there's inklings of it. Like I am aware that there is interesting stuff in this world that is below the surface, and I'm kind of like sensitized to where it all might be. So
Yeah.
I see vampires behind every rock, essentially. The other game that I've been playing in VR is Riggs, which is a mechanized combat league game. What's that?
It was an Always Sunny joke.
okay.
Riggs.
It sounded like Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. It was it is Lethal Weapon by way of It's Always Sunny. Ignore me. That is a good way to live through life. Is ignoring.
This looks like that Sylvester Stallone movie or whatever, or not Sylvester Stallone. What was the boxing robots? That's
Hugh Jackman.
yeah. Thank you. I don't know why. I guess I got.
I'm sad that I know that.
Sylvester Stallone has done a lot of boxing.
Yeah,
movies,
what you're
so I
thinking
guess
of is Real
that's why I
Steel.
jumped in, but that is not him.
It is
Yeah,
real
Real
steel.
Steel.
Yeah.
Yes, only you're actually riding in the mech, and it's the perfect convention for VR, right? Because you're sitting in the cockpit, controls are right there in front of you, and you just have to have a giant mech with 50 cal machine guns on either side, strapped around you. So
As
this
mechs
is
do.
what's that?
As mechs do, yeah.
Yes. It feels right. What you're doing in real life perfectly lines up with what you're doing in the game. And so the immersion is really good. But just this was really my turning point. I got done with my first session where literally all I had done is gone into the practice arena and learn how to run around and jump and basically control the mech. And it's really cool because left stick is movement for the mech on your PlayStation controller. So this is played with a controller, not a move. The what would traditionally be the right stick is truly just accomplished by looking. And basically, if you look a certain degree to the left or the right, the camera will start to pan with your looking.
Okay.
And it works incredibly well. Feels very natural, and as you're getting into more heated combat or crazier situations, you kind of forget that that's the way you're controlling it. It is really as simple as just I look where I want to shoot, and then I shoot there. Mm-hmm. And there's one or two moments where you're like, okay, now I need to explicitly look left as far as I can to turn around fast, but that really doesn't happen that often. So I've been very impressed. I would have guessed that the head tracking for right stick would have felt awkward, but it feels very, very natural. But you're playing in one of 4 different kind of classes of giant mech. It's 3v3 combat, where you are either trying to just straight up team deathmatch the other team, or play like the super mech version of basketball or the super mech version of football.
Okay.
All 3 are very fun, and I can tell that there's already a lot of strategy to them and kind of layers there, which I'm excited to get into because I haven't got myself out of the single player campaign yet, which really isn't the focus of the game. But my God, just getting kind of my bearings and the thrill of launching up into the air with a giant mech. Hovering in place and then opening up on an enemy with 50 cal machine guns in VR is unparalleled. Like I came out of that literally shaking with adrenaline. Like it was so freaking cool. And how you kind of get good at moving quickly through the arena and ducking in and out of cover, and you just feel like a badass. Which is great. Like it's just a new level of immersion for it, a new level of fun for it. And I'm excited to actually start taking the game online, assuming I can find people to play with. And that might be tough, but I've already been kind of Googling and finding the right communities to jump into to get going in the online scene. Yeah. So next time we talk, I should have an update on that front.
Yeah. Speaking of that online scene, so like Sony was saying, this is going to be the new hotness in esports or electronic sports, as people in the know call them. Is there an online community for this at all?
There is. It seems to be, as far as I can tell, there's actually a pro league for it. And it seems to still be running, as far as I can tell. I don't know quite where to stream it, so I can't point anyone who's curious that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there does seem to be a scene for it. There's copious amounts of literature on like the meta for which mechs to use and all that. So it seems to be healthy. I just need to actually duck in and take the plunge.
Yeah, if people are telling you the right way to play, then yes, people are playing it online.
Yeah, I think that's the case for any game. If there are 2 people playing online, one is going to be telling the other the right way to play.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. What's cool though is that they set it up with like a crowd around you in the arena, and there's an announcer and everything, and you pick your team name, and all the calls are based on that. So it's like, aha, the so and so's are driving in for the score, which feels kind of cool when you actually get a big break in the football variant, and the announcer's like yelling about how you've got a breakaway. Like it seems pretty cool. But cooler than that is one of the team names that you can pick at the beginning is the Comets. Which is not a popular team name, but it was my high school football or my high school's like mascot. We were the Mason Comets.
Oh dang! You can relive the glory days.
Yeah, like it's really cool to hear that in the background, and like that doesn't show up in any other game. You might get the Tigers or whatever, right? Yeah, but you're not going to get the Comets. So I just saw it as I was scrolling through. I was like, oh damn, cool.
Who are we? The Wildcats. Who are we going to beat? The Wildcats.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just hard to describe the just how thrilling like the motion is. Again, I turned off all the convenience factors, and that was what made me feel the most comfortable. So I guess I'm a very lucky freak of nature. Yeah, that I can do that.
Born hardcore.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's my experience with VR so far has been nothing but great. I've done a ton of dabbling in demo disc and smaller games, but not a ton to talk about on that front.
Yeah. So just one question about VR in general. We can get to the other guys' questions about rigs. Will the VR work if there's a second person there who has brought a 6-pack to split and Resident Evil 7 to see how it works in VR?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I
only
think
if
I
you
had
stream it.
Yeah.
It's a real weird feature, but without streaming, it just shuts down.
I even had a friend on the Slack offer me a discount code, so I've got I think 40% off Resident Evil 7. But if you got a free version, man, bring it on over.
Yeah.
I don't have the gun controller, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
I have no idea. I think that it's basic. I've never heard of a gun controller before. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, let's work that out offline.
Absolutely. Let's do that.
I'll throw a recommendation out for both of you when you're doing this. Is you should check out the puzzle game Static. It's a small game, but it works really well with VR.
No, I remember you talking about that, and I've seen it in many places listed as a good game.
Nice.
including from you before. So
Yeah. No, I mean, this is awesome. You've been interested in VR for a long time, and you found a way to get it into your house. Have okay, so here's my question: have you loaded up? I guess Luke would be the one who would be more ready for it. Have you had him try it out, or are you trying to save his supple little eyes?
No, I don't think it would even fit his head.
Okay.
And there's a giant warning on everything. It's like kids under 12 should not be blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll quite wait that long, but 3 is probably still too young.
Yeah.
You can, whenever you're in VR, what you're looking at is put up on the TV screen as well. So it is not completely antisocial, in that you could play and have someone in the room watching you play.
Right.
But God help you if you want to stop and talk to them, because there's a whole process to get the thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You can talk with them without being able to see them. I mean, I'm talking with you and I can't see you.
This is true. To some of the people talking about how VR is going to be so dominant, I think it will have its place, but I very quickly realized, like, I've consciously chosen not to play VR if I know that there's people that are going to be in and out a couple different times, just because it's there's a lot to just being able to look over your shoulder and be like, oh hey, or be social.
Yeah, I mean,
you just can't.
I feel like they need to incorporate the AI, like, someone walks up and have a little, video to show you who it is, so you can take it off or something.
Yeah. No, did have a little webcam on the outside. Not so at an office, if you want privacy, you put on your earphones or whatever. But if you're at your house and you're out in your living room and your kids are walking in and out and they want attention from daddy, or your wife wants you to help her out with something.
Boy.
If you're sitting there with headphones shutting everybody out, that is a real dick move, right?
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, VR's headphones for your eyes. So that is totally reasonable, I think.
It's a very, very true statement. I did realize, though, I now have the capability to watch movies in 3D should I desire.
What?
So, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
About to go back down Avatar Lane, baby.
Woohoo!
Just has to be by myself.
I don't think they've ever made a good Avatar movie.
Well, I mean, they did the one, and they
haven't.
No, they've done 2.
Well, I mean, so you're making a joke about the Elements one and then the James Cameron one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, both the
blue people
and the
martial arts
white
anime
people one.
Yes.
I don't know if
I'll go back to the... Go ahead.
I don't know if I mentioned on here or not. Have you guys seen how on IMDb the next X Avatar movies are listed out for their release date?
It's hilarious at 2021, 2025. Dog, the first one came out in 2009. Stop.
I know, it's incredible. I can't believe that there hasn't been another one yet, but yeah, go figure.
Not for lack of trying.
Well, they're doing Avatar meets Boyhood, so they need 12 years to film it.
Oh yeah.
I'm still hoping that the first one or the second one just begins with massive orbital bombardment.
Take that, Fern Gully.
I assume that I'm going to rather be in the giant mechs from Riggs than the giant mechs from Avatar.
Yes.
So I'm not in any hurry to do that, but I do have that capability now.
Yeah,
so.
you've got it.
Mm-hmm. So that's me.
Do they explain at all how this isn't just resulting in massive loss of life from the pilots?
Oh well, you get ejected, and that's one of the convenience factors is you can, because it's it's a big vertical shot up all of a sudden, so you can turn off actually seeing the ejection.
Yeah,
and it has the bubble effectively that you're in, the HUD kind of blacks you out, and then you hear the ejection noise if you have it turned on.
Oh, I feel like that's actually could be realistic, but I mean, I still though it only takes one bullet to pierce the armor, from I don't know, from a story standpoint. I feel like.
Okay, so here's my pitch to any VR developers out there: make a VR carnival with all of the motion sickness inducing rides, but simulate them entirely. So hey, here's the Gravitron. Hey, here's that Aladdin swing ride where you sit in it and it whips you round and round. Stuff like that. Just make something that is intended to make people as motion sick as possible. That way people can understand what I'm talking about when I mention my goddamn motion sickness.
It won't be the same because when you puke, it's not going to fly off to the left like it does in the Gravitron.
Yeah.
See,
So-
I
not
just
gonna hit
love the
Millhouse.
fact that apparently if, you're running around in virtual world or whatever, your brain's like, nah, this isn't right. I'm gonna make you vomit. Whereas if you're teleporting, your brain's like, yes, I was evolved for this.
Yep. It is a peek at our future. Speaking of a peek at our future, I imagine that, David, you're going to talk about some games, so why don't you bring us there now?
Sure. So I've been so I just real brief. I sort of kind of made it to the end of Subnautica. I
Are you on the planet still?
no.
All right, then you
So
made it to the end.
Well, and that's the thing is I guess maybe this spoiler. I'm no longer apparently going to die eminently. Imminently? Not eminently. Maybe eminently.
We all hope to die eminently.
Eminent domain.
Yes. I'm no longer going to die imminently. However, I then learned that the getting off the planet basically is just a massive fetch quest of, all materials that I know where they are. It's not really a challenge for me to get them. But I'm not sure I actually care enough to drive my sub all over the place.
There's ways that you don't have to. It's not like a long haul to get the things you need to get. But
Well,
I'll also argue
no,
that the entire game is like a fetch quest.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just, particularly I feel like at the end, it a little bit falls down. But
No, they purposely put something in the game so that it makes it easier for you to get those things that I think you might be missing.
no, I know about that. However, I think I'm going to go with the other thing they put in the game to make it easier, by which I mean console commands.
Okay.
But I don't know. At this point, I've basically learned how to evade all of the Leviathans. I've got a fairly maxed out sub and mecha suit. So I don't know. It's good stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
Then other than that, I picked up a indie game made, I think, by a Polish developer called Darkwood.
Oh,
Which-
yeah. That's like a
it's real
multiplayer
interesting.
top-down
It's
kind of thing?
Say again?
Like a multiplayer top-down kind of thing?
So it's not multiplayer.
Okay.
Single player, but it is top down. It's basically a survival game, but with very strong horror elements. So
Some kind of
the-
survival horror game, as you will.
Well, yes, an actual survival horror game.
Right.
So kind of the plot line is it takes place somewhere in Poland in the 1980s, and basically there's this area of woods that has for some unexplained reason became cut off from the outside world, and the woods basically almost faster than people could cut it down, started overgrowing all of the roads so that no one could get out, and various monsters started appearing and stuff like that.
A dark mist has fallen.
Say that again? Yes, exactly. And so you start the game with no one knows how to get out, but you apparently have a key that unlocks the door that you believe will allow you to escape the woods. And almost immediately you get highwayman, and the key gets stolen.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're basically trying to get this key back and get out of the woods. But it really emphasizes it has a really strong day-night cycle. So during the day you're going out and exploring and gathering research, and then at night you basically have to go back to your base, board up all the doors and windows, press furniture up to like barricade them, things like that, and then try to survive until morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a really good system because the enemies will actually, the way they interact is dependent on, whether you have like lights on in the house or making noise, stuff like that. And so, if you don't, there's a fairly good chance they'll, just assume it's in another abandoned house and walk on past. On the other hand, like there's a lot of moments where like, you have the various, windows and doors, boarded up and stuff like that. And, all the lights are off, so it's completely dark. So you can't see because you don't want to attract attention.
Mm-hmm.
But you're tracking from the sounds like, all right, they just broke through. I think that's the window in the room, the room to my left, and okay, something's walking around, and oh wait, no, that's the door opening. All right, turn the lights, turn the lights.
Is it just the sound, or do they represent the sound visually at all?
It's just the sound.
Okay, so it's not like Mark of the Ninja or something like that.
No. So it's all real time. It's just the sound. I mean, there are like some visual effects, and one of the interesting things is the overall like terrain. You see just like any top down or like effectively twin stick style control scheme.
Mm-hmm.
However, you only actually see characters or enemies or objects within like the 45-degree cone you're facing.
You have a cone of vision that is also informed by light that is casting.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So there's a lot of real intelligent use with that. Similarly, there's a number of like just random events that can happen at night, which range from like kind of the most noteworthy. The reason that you have to manage your lights is periodically these ghost enemies will attack that can only be repelled by light. But similarly, there can be things where just like enemies kind of teleport into your into your base, or someone starts knocking on the window and trying to convince you to let them in, or just all sorts of things.
Yeah. What kind of enemies are you fighting, and also like what kind of combat capabilities are you given? Like, do you have, like, if something gets on top of you, do you have the ability to fight it back, or is it more of a pursuit and like building multiple shelters during the day so you can get away from threats during the night? Like how prominent is the combat?
Sure. So the enemies, kind of start off as being predominantly dogs, which are noteworthy in that, they're more territorial than aggressive. So, like, if they start barking at you and you back off, they'll generally leave you alone. And then kind of like the game refers to them like their class name or whatever is like savages. They're basically kind of like like mutated, like cannibal people,
like feral ghouls from Fallout.
Yeah, exactly. And then it very much hints at early on, and you kind of progressively get more shades of sort of, I would say Lovecraftian, but a bit more the like mutant body horror type of thing than the like eldritch whatever.
Right.
And then in terms of combat, it's right now I'm mostly doing melee combat, and it's clunky but effective. So it definitely is a game where you are expected to engage in in combat and be killing enemies, but at the same time it especially early on puts a premium on like being intelligent about when you choose to engage and when you don't. So so that's kind of the core gameplay, but then the storyline itself is just very, very weird. It a little bit reminds me of some of the elements of like was it Lone Survivor or whatever?
Okay.
In terms of kind of having some of the like just weird like dream sequences and kind of semi just like hallucinations, things like that.
Right.
A number of the NPCs appear to be like animal people, and it's not really explained why so far. Similarly, like it's really ambiguous. Exactly what
the more information you get, the more questions you have.
Yeah, and very much in kind of the I don't know the sort of Silent Hill-esque, like it definitely trades more on just like weird stuff messing with you than it does on like necessarily being super straightforward and like whatever the opposite of non sequitur is.
Yeah, operates more on like symbolics and thematics or metaphysics than cause and effect, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. So overall, I'm really enjoying it a lot. I do feel like some of the survival aspects and some of that can get a little frustrating at times. Like some of the night attacks can just seem kind of needlessly punishing. Similarly, one of its interesting features is your map will fill in landmarks and will show, and when you're at a landmark, will show you on the map which landmark you're at. But other than that, it doesn't actually like have a dot that's you are here.
I like
so
that.
It really emphasizes like figuring out how to navigate around and keep your bearings.
Yeah.
Especially since you'll get to instances where it'll all of a sudden be like night's coming, you have to get back to your compound.
And you have to pray to God you don't overshoot it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see where it's going. I'm currently getting to some more choices, so I'm interested to see where that's gonna go. I'm pretty sure it's going to take the Dark Souls approach of no matter which you choose, you're fucked. But
yep, yeah, or like Witcher 3, that happens there too.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
no, it's good to hear somebody talk about this because I hear it mentioned in vague terms, especially around like Hexcrank. But I mistook it for something else. There's another one that is top down that has a similar title but is multiplayer. And doesn't seem like it's for me. But
one other thing I will throw out about this I think's neat is the developer is extremely anti-jump scare.
Cool.
Which is really interesting, seeing like how they build kind of the horror systems with that in mind is kind of interesting to see a different take on survival horror.
No, that's cool. Like building it more around dread than anything else.
Yep.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions about Darkwood? Is that everything, David?
Well, I feel like I'll probably save the rest because we're getting a little late. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, I will be back next week, unless something else happens. In which case, I'll knock on wood.
The best way to
Giant
guarantee
meat.
that we won't is to claim with certainty that we will.
Yes, there we go. Cool.
I'm going for giant meteor.
Yeah, it's about time. So, how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
Okay, there we go. I feel like you would have made Jala proud there.
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for being patient with our time away. It feels so good to be back. Yeah, I need to close this video of Darkwood so I do not be tempted. So I'm not tempted to buy it. So
It's only $15.
yeah.
By the way, I couldn't remember what the title was when you were talking about that. I thought you were talking about the game The Forest, because I saw nothing to give me evidence otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's another
fair,
game.
Like the other one it reminds me of is, what's the one where you're watching through the thermal satellite?
You might be thinking of the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, it's all one big mess. I need to get my shit together. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this. If you want to help us out, the usual things. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes. It's been a while since we've done that. We see when that happens. And we appreciate everybody who has taken the effort in the past. Consider going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. And moreover, if you know somebody, if you care about somebody who likes podcasts or video games, pass along word. We would love to expand our audience even more, and we can only do that with your help. Mm-hmm. Am I forgetting anything?
Don't think so.
Okay. So I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my Twitch streams at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can watch my Twitch streams, however intermittent, at twitch.tv/greenlaser73.
My name's David Myesmith. You can occasionally watch me invade Dennis's Twitch streams.
I've been Ben Merkel. You can watch my Twitch streams at Merkleby.
Yeah. And
So
stick
we've
around.
all officially moved off Twitter, I guess, and are on Twitch now.
I go back and forth.
All right.
Yeah. And stick around for some titles.
It's one of those things, like just a bad habit. It's like, I'm going to do it every once in a while, but I'm not going to recommend to anyone that they do it.
I mean, it's how we started. Yeah.
This is true.
I only have two, one of which is probably borderline unusable. The unusable one is My Son is a Boner Killer. The other one that is probably more usable is We All Hope to Die Eminently.
So, I don't know how you would exactly do this, but I feel like the most appropriate one would just be some sort of sound effect for clang or a scooting noise or something like
Automatopoeia.
that.
Yeah. Clang, Foley, onomatopoeia.
The other one I had is VR is headphones for your eyes.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Dennis, what you got?
So I had two. I had the granddaddening. And then as a call out for something that was in the multiplayer, FFMTBDDE9F.
Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah, it is FFMTBDDE9F.
Okay. I hope you understand if I do not pick that one. Ben, what you got?
I rolled the lazy dice and did not write anything down.
Oh, that's fine. So we have no repeat. We have no repeat ones.
I will say I'm very much in favor of the either Die Eminently or Eminent Domain or some variation on that.
Yeah. I like We All Hope to Die Eminently.
I can see that.
Any opposition?
Mm-mm.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go. I have more games to play. I have stuff to do, miles to go before I sleep. I hope everybody has a
Friendly
good week.
PSA, Arrested Development new season comes out tomorrow.
Oh, you betcha. I just watched the remix season 4.
I did as well.
It's slightly better.
Exactly. Right.
I do not judge, but I don't understand the appeal of that. Like, it's some weird thing in my personality where, like,
I still think
watching
seasons 2
that
and 3.
sort of where it's humor about, like, insufferable people, just to me is like being with insufferable people. Does that make sense?
Have you ever watched or enjoyed It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever watched and enjoyed Seinfeld?
No, sorry.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. No, you are like the majority of America if you did not enjoy Arrested Development.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, like, not saying there's anything to, like, be critical of it. Just
No,
saying,
taste is different.
It's
yeah.
interesting for me that it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, the taste is different.
Yeah, totally.
That's where it begins and ends.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, take care, everybody.
Yeah. Night, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Talk to you guys later.
Later.
Peace.
Have a good week.
You too.